Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast here at Blab. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, I go as PD Beats. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions in the worlds of social media, sports, and pop culture. I have two really cool guests with me this evening. I'm going to introduce them quickly. We have, from the Harlem Globetrotters, we have Flip. Flip, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And we have, so it's a little noisy coming from where he is because I think his air conditioning broke. But we have former $1 Million Tough Enough winner from the WWE, former MMA fighter, and I believe the founder of My Life, My Power, Daniel Puder is with us. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Hey, why am I the former WWE champ, man? I'm still the champ. I've always been the champ. What's up with that? You want to fight?
You were a former WWE superstar.
My air conditioning went out. That's true. I agree with that. Okay, we're good now. We're good. We can continue.
That's mostly what I bet. But
next time you got to introduce me. Next time I'm on here, you got to introduce the second most electrifying man in sports entertainment history right here. That's just me.
Hold on. Flip, I thought you were the number one. I thought you were the number one.
Tough.
What's up?
You know who the number one, who the electrifying man is. So look up. I got to compete with him.
Let me tell you something. It's not Peter. It's not me. It's you. So at the end of the day, you're the freaking rock star.
I appreciate. I like the way you put things together. I like the way you do things. I like that.
I like that.
So Flip, do you want to quickly just tell us a little bit about yourselves? You know, where you stand with the Globetrotters. You were also a contestant recently on NBC's American Ninja Warrior. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, this is my fifth season with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. I got on with the Globetrotters. They scouted me. They saw a video on YouTube. So I had a dunking video on YouTube. They saw me do my thing. They sent me out to tryouts. I went to work. I do what I know. You know, I know best. I'm a basketball player. So I did my thing. And this is my fifth year, going into my sixth. They called me Flip for a reason. I'm very acrobatic. I do flips. I flip out on court. So American Ninja Warrior is right up my alley. So I went out there and I did my thing, but I fell off on the fourth obstacle, the tire swing. It was tough, but it is what it is. It happened. I'll be back next year.
That's really. It must have been pretty cool though. You know, go on a show like that has such a popularity in the summer. Right?
Yeah,
it's like it's been a tradition over the years too. You know, being coupled with like America's Got Talent, it must have been pretty cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was amazing to be there. It's one of my favorite TV shows. It's something you gotta practice for. I'm on the road, always on the road, so I don't have time to practice. So. They dedicate their lives to it, so I take my hat off to everybody that do it. They dedicate their lives to it, and they practice every year round. I went in there with no practice. Just went off my natural ability. So,
Flip that's pretty awesome, man. We're really happy to have you on here. Now, Daniel Puder is also with us, and Daniel, you know, you have a pretty interesting career path because you started as a professional wrestler, won the WWE $1 Million Tough Enough. You were also an MMA fighter, but then you kind of shifted and created My Life, My Power. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
You know, I did a TED Talk last year, and it was significance breeds success. So I feel as a pro athlete, and when you do something, number one is you do it for a purpose. And I was always giving back. I was helping youth programs. I was helping homeless programs. When I was 16, I went to juvenile hall, and juvenile hall gave me a wake-up call to not fight in the street, not get in trouble. And when I was a pro athlete, I would mentor kids. I actually just was at my first kid's wedding when I was in the WWE that I've been mentoring for over 11 years. And he's graduated college now. He's launching his first app, his company. he got married. So to be able to see the impact you can make, and we've impacted over 200,000 kids in 10 countries now. And it's just amazing to be able to see that, it's not just impacting a kid or impacting a group of kids.
All right. But, so if you were going to give the elevator pitch very quickly to someone who doesn't know what My Life, My Power is, because you explained it briefly before, what would be that elevator pitch? The 2 minutes kind of to explain what exactly you guys are trying to do.
So we're not trying to do anything. We're doing it, number one. I want to make that very clear.
Okay.
So the idea is we go into school systems, cities, communities. I'm in South Florida a bunch right now, and we implement a new system to create more authentic, loving, committed students who are vision and purpose driven. So the biggest challenge in our community right now, whether in the DJJ system, juvenile hall justice, in homeless, in foster care, is that there is no platform. For instance, when you age out of foster care, they say, see you later, and they give you a little check, and less than 10% of foster care kids in this country graduate from college. But in Florida, you get free college and a check. So why isn't there? And so their system isn't set because their subconscious is programmed to be self-destructive a lot of the time, because their interpretations create whether you get out of jail, you go back to the same neighborhood, you hang out with the same gang. And so what we do is we go in there and we have mentors, whether law enforcement, federal agencies, local law enforcement, teachers unions, school districts, charter schools, public schools, you name it, to be able to teach their teachers and the people who are going to mentor to make long-term impact. And I'll give you one quick thing, and Flip, you probably got this when you were a kid, is a lot of adults either, when the kid goes, I want to be a pro athlete, when I grow up, a lot of adults say, what's your backup plan or what's your plan B? And so we go over a lot of distinctions like that. What we do is we map it out and we say, what's your second career? And so we show adults how to mentor kids to inspire and empower them the right way to make long-term impact within their communities and their schools. And then those kids become peer mentors. So it has to be a self-sustaining process that works long-term, that impacts the future generations.
No, absolutely. Nice. And this has been something, too, that has led to you doing a TED Talk as well, right, Daniel?
Yeah. My TED Talk was Significance Breeds Success. So anybody check that out. It's freaking awesome.
Okay.
And we're just rocking and rolling. We're changing lives, but it's not just to change lives. It's to change the system, which is going to change more lives.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Flip, this is the question I wanted to ask you. We were talking about, change with Dad about changing lives, his program. The Harlem Globetrotters for many, many years have been entertaining fans, entertaining families. It's a family event. It's a family show. What does that mean to you personally to be a part of that legacy that the Harlem Globetrotters have, and the show and the sports entertainment that you bring, year after year?
To me, it play an important part because I'm a family person. I was brought up with family, so I got 3 boys of my own, 10 months, 7 and 6. So to put smiles on kids' faces around the world, you never know. And not even kids, some adults as well. You never know what they're going through in life. So you got 2 hours to come to our show and feel better. Like they could go through so much in that one day, but when they come see us, it's about smiles and family affair, just bringing them all together and just having fun for them 2 hours. So to see the smiles on kids' faces, that's what I'm excited for. I'm happy. Soon, it don't matter how bad my day is, soon the lights hit and you see that first smile on the kid's face, your day is better. You feel great. You feel accomplished. You feel excited because you're putting the smiles on people's faces, making their life better. Just create memories that last a lifetime. That's the great point for me.
I love that, and I agree 100%. That's a huge thing to do every day.
And on Popternative, it's a social media centric show. So I'm going to ask both of you. I'll start with Daniel. Based on what you're doing with My Life, My Power, and your path as a former WWE superstar and an MMA fighter, how has social media and your in your like eyes has changed the game in terms of what you do on a daily basis?
So we for instance just launched My Life My Quote, which is a platform to give positive quotes out, right? So we do a lot. We show a lot of pictures. There's some pictures we can't show. You know, the stuff we do in the jail systems with foster care kids, underage kids, which I wish we could, because the impact we're making is unbelievable. I just got one tonight. I'll bring it up actually. I can't show the whole thing, but a kid, basically a gang kid, has been arrested. He's been arrested a bunch of times. He asked me. He wrote in and said, "Hey, one of your kids that we just hired out of jail told me about what you're doing, and I need a mentor. I don't have family. Would you please help me?" So, you know, that kind of stuff we don't post just because we don't want the gangs to see it, and you know, he'll get heat on it. But it's just amazing to be able to see how fast we can impact somebody's life when they're ready and willing to get somewhere new.
So social media is allowing you guys to do that message you were talking about and make that happen.
Yeah, we get emails every day from kids around the country, adults, saying that, you know, they've seen our stuff in schools, or they've heard about it, or they see our, you know, what we're doing, and they're like, how can we do that in our neighborhood? So it's pretty amazing.
And Flip, how do you, as a Harlem Globetrotter, use social media, you know, to engage with, you know, other with Harlem Globetrotter fans, other athletes? What does social media mean to you?
Social media, to me, it means, you know, it means a lot, especially being a Globetrotter. So you seeing the family or a kid, they see me online. Of course, they're going to ask if I'm the real Flip or not. And just to get to message me, I don't mind. They can message me. I got people message me, they add me, and I actually talk to them. Because being able to talk to me, you know, some celebrities don't talk to kids. You see that. They don't answer them back. So for me, the social media means a lot, because they can talk to me and saying, we saw you at the game, and I appreciate the stuff that you did. And me, that's that one message. I can just say hi or thank you. Just that one thing just changed their day, made them feel better, because I actually said something to them. So, and it helps my fan base. Being social media, it helps my fan base. It helps me be closer with the fans. I can actually talk to them and actually message them. I give them shout outs. It helps a lot, especially being not based. We family oriented. Globetrotters is family oriented, so it helps. It means a lot. Social media help us grow. Without social media, it'd be kind of hard for us to continue growing.
Yeah.
That's why we're so big as it is now.
Absolutely. And Daniel, you now have kind of a medium too, where you mentioned your TED Talk. You can, you know, like people all over the world can see your TED Talk, can go to Twitter and see what you're all about, what My Life, My Power is all about. I think it's something too. Do you ever think also about, like, it's changing over time, but the cost effective aspect of social media as well? Because a lot of people can argue that, you know, if you're putting together a marketing campaign, it can be considered a cost-effective tool in terms of, you know, making a Twitter account, getting your stuff out there, you know, rather than paying for, you know, print ads and all that. Does that make a little bit of sense to you as well?
Yeah, for me, 100%. You know, we launched Burundi in Kenya last year because of it, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. You know, and so we're in Africa. We wouldn't have been in Africa and serving a couple hundred kids over there if it wasn't for them looking us up on media, and a couple awesome mentors over there grabbed the program and ran with it, and they're serving a lot of kids. So, you know, it's a great thing to get that exposure. Very cost effective, and it's very direct to the market that you're looking for.
Now, the reason why I wanted to have you Flip on with Daniel Puder is because Flip is a big wrestling fan. Is that correct, Flip?
That's an understatement. I'm a diehard wrestling. I'm a diehard wrestling fan. Like that since I was a kid.
Yeah, and you have you're on a podcast tonight with the $1 million Tough Enough winner.
Look him up and look at it. When I saw that he was a wrestler and I saw this, I'm like, oh man, here we go. Nah, hey, you have to get me in the ring. You have to teach me some tips. You gotta give me some pointers.
hey, I'll trade you, bro. You teach me how to do some tricks in basketball. You know, I picked up basketball 2 years ago in a city called Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And it's like I'm the only white guy in the neighborhood, and it was pretty interesting. Now I go into this place called Pork and Beans in Liberty City in Miami, and I'm the only white guy that will go in this neighborhood because there's so many murders every year.
Okay.
So it's pretty awesome. I go play basketball and I get my butt whooped, but it's good.
Hey, we can trade. I teach you how to hoop. You teach me how to wrestle. To me that's a fair trade.
Yeah.
Daddy, are you still in the loop a little bit about what's happening in the WWE and in MMA at all? Are you in the loop about
I'm
about
a
that
little
stuff
bit.
a bit?
You know, when some of my friends are wrestling, fighting, that sort of thing. You know, but I spend I fun about 12 to 16 hours a day with what we're doing with a nonprofit and for profit and traveling. So there's I'm very focused on really making impact, and that stuff was great. It was my past. I love it. I'm still friends with a lot of guys in the world, but my real focus is now how do we take that and really, I mean, think about it. We're 20 trillion in debt, right? Almost. We're 100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. We have more prisoners in this country than any other country combined. We're 25% of prisoners in this world, and so we're going to be hurting real bad in the next 10, 15 years. Somebody's got to do something. And I don't see many people doing it. Definitely athletes aren't stepping up as much as I ask my buddies all the time, and some people step up when they can, but they don't make it a priority in their life. And so it's interesting who does and who doesn't.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
I have some questions for you. So everyone, and you've talked about it with Jimmy Corderas and the Kurt Angle situation. What is, like, when you're asked a question about that, what is when you're talking about that, what are you trying to accomplish in terms of that discussion or that storyline with Kurt Angle and the breaking of the arm?
Yeah, the arm didn't break. I attempted it, but it didn't break fully. Okay, with the whole story, I wanted to set it clear because a lot of people didn't understand the real story, what really happened. And so with interviewing Jimmy, I mean, we have 100,000 views on that, a couple 100,000 views, something like that now. People wanted to know the real story. And, Kurt said he was injured a little bit, but he was tough enough to invite me into the ring. And he was tough enough to break 3 of my buddy's ribs, Chris Narocki's ribs. And so at the end of the day, he was that tough, but he just wasn't tough enough to take me on. Yeah. So he was tough enough to take them on, but then he complains and whines like a little girl when I jump in the ring and almost snap his arm. You know what I'm saying?
You.
So it's interesting.
They play that. They play that on it. That was you that did that. Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the Kurt Angle
when he
thing,
let him come in the ring. I didn't know that was you that came in the ring and put him in one of them. Oh, wow.
That was him. That was Daniel.
Yeah.
But Daniel, the Royal Rumble,
dude,
that was almost like one of the main first things in your career in the WWE. Though you get in there, you get the mic. Daniel Puder, get in there, and then what happens?
Freaking take a whooping, man. I could have whooped each one of those guys one by one. Here.
There's a lot.
At the end of the day, I'm not talking smack or anything, but the only person that
I know it comes with stuff in the business.
The toughest person in that ring that I've ever gotten in with is Hardcore Holly. He's the legit toughest guy in the WWE, or was. I respected him when I was in there until he talked smack in his book, and I don't respect him anymore because I always held him to a standard of being a mentor. And when people talk smack in books and they put people down, it's very interesting. He did it for the money. I get it. But he's got no morals and values or ethics or anything else as far as I'm concerned. But what I will tell you is Eddie Guerrero was an amazing human being. We had meals together, and then Chris Benoit was just a top-line guy. And I respect both of those guys. And it was great to work for the WWE. I learned a lot. It was a good challenge. But at the end of the day, I went back to fighting. I had a great career. I retired undefeated, and now I'm just undefeated, bro. I'm undefeated. Yeah, how many guys can say that?
Hey, not too many.
Hey, I got on here with Flip, and I was like, I don't want to say many things that might get Daniel Puder upset.
Why?
He's an undefeated MMA fighter.
Smackdown on you.
You miss Canada. Daniel, you miss Canada. You love Canada. Those are good. Flip, I was upset because I was going to come see the Globetrotters in Ottawa, And you weren't there. You said you weren't going to be there.
I do.
Flip doesn't come to Canada.
In Canada that time. We got 3 teams.
Yeah, I understand. I was all excited. I was like, yeah, Globetrotters are coming to my hometown.
I like Canada's a nice part. It's a nice place. You know, Toronto, Vancouver,
Ottawa,
Quebec. You know what I mean? But it's some nice places. I like being in Canada.
Absolutely.
Hey, Peter.
It's cold, but I like it.
Peter, next time when you have like a rock star athlete on here who wears a tank top, I'm gonna wear a tank top, dude, because he's making me look bad right now.
My bad.
It's cool.
No,
Sounds good. I got it.
Bad.
I know he's promoting.
He's promoting. He's promoting.
I'm not
the Trotters.
I'm not promoting the Trotters. I knew I was gonna be on the wrestler. I knew I was gonna be on with a wrestler. So I'm like, come on now, I can't. You know what I mean? I got to at least have it out. I gotta. You know what I mean?
You know what? I would just take my shirt off right now, but I'm at Starbucks. So
yeah. So the one thing I wanted to ask you guys, Daniel, you were talking a little bit about role models earlier on in the show, and what I wanted to ask you is, and this could go for Flip too. So if you think about Flip, you're from the basketball world, Daniel, you're from the fighter and wrestling world. If you were to talk about the people who are seen as, you know, the big guys, the big role models in both of your sports. So Flip, you know, you're seeing Steph Curry as someone who is a very, very good player, but someone also that seems to, you know, really embrace the kind of role model aspect of it. He's very good on interviews. Daniel Puder, in the wrestling world, there are guys like, you know, John Cena, that are seen as, you know, the role models. What is your perspective on these really, really big guys in your sports and your fields? And like, what do you think about that? Is there more that could be done by these really, really big athletes? Are they doing okay? Is there stuff they're not doing? Like, let's start with you, Daniel. What do you think about the role models and the big guys in professional sports that are always looked up to because they're always in the public eye?
Their beingness, which creates the persona, the brand, everything else. I think most of them are they're crap. You know, they're not good role models. They're partying, they're doing drugs, they're doing dumb stuff. They're not being positive for our future generations, and you know, they have a lot to grow. But you know, I see where a lot of the athletes come from. They come from challenged neighborhoods, families. They have a big ego, and that's what gets them there. But the challenge is that's what is their downfall at the same time. So I believe that, you know, the teams could definitely do a better job, you know, at creating a new way of being, so that they get a better long-term solution to create our next generation of sports athletes.
No, that's an interesting point, because that stuff, you always hear about that stuff, the role models. And Flip, you know, you're with the Harlem Globetrotters, but I see your social media. You're following the NBA a lot as well. What about that side of it? You have all these big players.
To me, Steph does he does a great job. Which role modeling is how Daniel say how he do the with the kids. Role modeling start with the kids, doing stuff for your community. You know what I mean? To be a role model, you're doing stuff for your community and other communities, and having kids look up to you. When kids look up to you, you have to mean something. You got to stand for something. If you taking care of your communities, you putting money into it, or it ain't even have to be about money. It's just giving back, talking to them. My motivation. I speak to high schools back in my hometown. I speak to kids. So, you know what I mean? I tell them about all the stuff that I've been through and what took me to get there. That's being a role model. Not just, you know, me. Yeah, I'm good at basketball. I can play. I shoot a couple baskets. That's not being a role model. That's just me playing basketball. It's more. It takes more to be a role model than just playing the sport. It go beyond the sport. Not because you're good at it, but how he said how today is just being good at the sport. Kids looking up them as role models. They can do anything. They can party. They can kick it, and kids will see that and think that's the way to go, and that's how it should be, which is not. You gotta go deeper than that. You gotta talk to them. They gotta understand that it's more than just partying and just more than just sports, just basketball. It's way more. School as well. You gotta be good in school. Same as that. It's a lot more than being a role model. It's way more.
Yeah, we
got lost.
Yeah, we're back. We're gonna wrap it up soon anyway. But Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the role models thing. So. Now, Daniel, I mentioned John Cena. What do you think of John Cena? What have he done? Because he has done a lot of stuff, a lot of the Make a Wish Foundations. What do you think about him?
I see him laugh. He laughing.
No.
I mean,
Here's a funny story.
Be nice, but
John Cena. No. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you the real story of John Cena. There's a guy named Ed Connors, and Ed Connors is one of my mentors. He was one of the original guys that launched Gold's Gym across the country, and he took it from like 3 gyms to what it is today, and then they sold out and then what it up. One of his gyms in Palm Springs, I believe it was, John Cena was working there, and he sees John and he goes, "You should be a wrestler." So he tells John to grow his hair out because John had his head shaved. He puts John up at one of his houses in LA. He gets him training and he gets him signed by WWE. So John was making like $8 an hour and goes to like 20, 30 million a year, right? Because one guy impacted his life. So before I went to Tough Enough, about 8 weeks out, Ed Connors told me, get a tan, get a 6-pack, and bleach your hair. And I did all 3 of those, and you should have seen my pre and my post picture, and you'd be like, oh my gosh. So it's interesting how, John was always great to me, nice guy, but he's really done a great career. He's taken it, and he works his butt off, and I'm really proud of him.
No, I absolutely, and they're very interesting characters in the WWE. You see it now too, flip of Roman Reigns, right? You know, the big faces that get a lot of heat, right? Daniel, was that involved too when you were wrestling? Like the big heat face wrestlers that would get a lot of heat. Was that around, or is that a newer thing in your opinion?
No, they would get some heat. I mean, I don't think it's too new. I mean, it might be more now than it was then.
Yeah.
But,
I thought Roman Reigns, they flipped.
Yeah. He gets it. He gets it bad. He gets it bad. Man. It's
pretty funny, right?
No, man, it's crazy. It's crazy how much heat he takes. I don't understand. That's why I give it, you know what I mean? Because me being in sports, I know about taking the heat and everything, but when you take it on that that amount of the level that he takes it is like, how do you deal with that? Like, go night in, night out, you know what I mean? Just dealing with that. I know that'd be heavy.
Yeah, as the main eventer too, that, you know, started off with the Shield with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and then, you know, got over, like they all got over, and I think that's really interesting, and that's going to make the Shield one of the best factions of all time, Philip, in my opinion, is that all 3 of them made it big. And I think that's something important you have to realize, right? You look at the Rockers, Daniel, remember the Rockers? Like, Marty Jannetty's not really doing much right now. It was, you know, a tag team, but you look at stables where everyone kind of comes into their own is an important thing. And you look at, you had a few people, Daniel, in your Tough Enough in your Tough Enough groupings, I believe, that work for WWE currently. I believe The Miz and Ryback were in your year, right?
Ryback not working no more.
Yeah.
Miz still.
Well, we don't know that he's on break. We don't know if he's.
So I just want to be clear about Ryback. He's a nice guy, but I beat him in arm wrestling, and I know he has like 30-inch arms, right? Like, they're massive. And if you watch Tough Enough, I smoked him. Not only did I smoke him, I laughed after, and he was so tough.
Was that the talk in the room afterwards? Like, oh, Daniel Puder beat, you know, Ryan Reeves at our wrestling. Was that something like brought up at all?
For with all the Tough Enough guys, it definitely was. It was pretty funny that I whooped him.
All right, and last thing from you before I go to Flip for the last question. What was the Miz like? Because I really want to know, from someone who's met the Miz, what was the Miz like?
Okay, so the Miz was really smart, very strategic. We always got along. It's funny is every day when we were Tough Enough training in Connecticut, because we would be there a few days a week, then we'd go to TV SmackDown taping. We would run a mile. So all us 8 guys, then it went to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All of us would run a mile before we start practice. I would always beat him, and he was so angry. He was so upset. And so it was just funny because he already knew pro wrestling, and I didn't. But I was more disciplined to stay on track and to not drink. I wasn't partying. I was just really focused on winning. I would stay in Connecticut on my days off instead of going back to California. So I'd actually go back to corporate WWE. But he was very strategic on what he said, who he was in with. He was doing a bunch of reality shows before. But I think his biggest thing is that he had a big name. And so when it came to me and him as the last 2 for Tough Enough, he showed me his analytics for his website, and I was getting 30,000 uniques a day. He was getting 70 or 80. I mean, I think it was 76,000, something like that. And I was like, man, I'm smoked. I lost. This guy's going to get, because it's based on fan votes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I thought I was done. They also had me do a heel script, and they had him do a babyface script. So I thought I was going to go out there. They were going to play the heel script. He was going to be the babyface, go over. And then I won, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. So the funny part of this whole thing was when I was in corporate and I would go to train every day I was back there was a guy about 3 weeks into it, right after Kurt Angle. He was smoking a cigarette outside of WWE corporate. He goes, "You're going to win, Puder." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're going to win. Keep it up." When I went back after I won, I saw him again. He was smoking a cigarette again. And he goes, "Told you you'd win." And I go, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "I'm the guy that's in charge of the votes." He goes, I'm the guy that counts the votes and is in charge of that side of it. And I'm like, oh man. And so what the moral of the story is when people congratulate you, impact your life, or say something to you, build relationships and understand who they are so that you can get farther in life.
No, networking is key. We talk about that a lot.
That's major
too.
key.
And I was and I networked Flip with Brian Penter, the social media manager for the Globetrotters. Great guy. He's been on the show before. And the reason Flip and I got connected is I asked the question when the Harlem Globetrotters took over Twitter. Remember you did the Twitter takeover, Flip? I was the Kevin Hart question.
Yeah, and after that, I think we talked about that. That's when we became friends after that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. He's probably going to say no, but the Globetrotters had their draft recently, the winter draft. Kevin Hart.
We drafted Kevin Hart.
I wonder if my question had to do with that. Because I would feel really happy.
It could have been that was a popular question. Putting Kevin Hart with us. That was a popular question. Now you probably had a hand in putting that in there.
Yeah, I hope. Well, guys, this has been Popternative. We're just going to wrap this up. Flip, thanks a lot for coming on. Any closing remarks? Any last words? Anything you want to tell us about?
It was fun. I enjoyed being here. I'm keep on doing my thing. I'm still running with the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm at the go visit Daniel so we can go toe to toe. You got to show me some pointers, cage and in the ring.
Yeah. Hey, where do you live? Where are you based out of? Okay, cool. We'll figure it out. I just emailed you. We already connected, Peter. You're amazing.
Right. Daniel, thanks a lot for coming on the show. I know you're a really busy guy too, and it really means a lot for you to take the time out of your schedule to do this. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Peter, if anybody ever wants to go through our youth program, they listen to this, go to mylifemypower.org, email me and say you listen to this show. Love to give you our program if you're a student or you're an adult and you hear this. Love to support you and your family. So let me know whatever I can do.
Thanks a lot. Well, this has been Popternative. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Flip. You can catch previous episodes of Popternative on our YouTube page. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.